Tonight on our news, remembering victims of Dorian, just hours away from the 3rd anniversary of the monster storm's landfall. Residents recount harrowing stories of survival as communities continue to rebuild. Also, nowhere else to go. Dome City residents make an appeal for help. Plus, prison break. A police manhunt is on after an inmate escapes from the Department of Corrections today. The National Security Chief is on alert. And a divorce granted. Find out a Supreme Court ruling on the grounds of cruelty after claims of marital rape. Welcome to our news, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. Breaking news tonight as police and prison officials say they are searching for an inmate who escaped the Bahamas Department of Corrections sometime today. Police releasing this wanted poster late this evening. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe saying the inmate was on remand for several serious offenses.
An inmate by the name of Winston Walker, a Jamaican national who was on remand for attempted murder, armed robbery, escaped at some point today. He was last seen wearing a long sleeve red shirt and gray pants. He's 5'5", slim build, fair complexion, black hair, dark brown eyes.
Now, Monroe warning anyone who may be helping Walker while he is on the run, saying if they are caught, they will be prosecuted. Now, we are following this and we'll bring you all of the latest. We are now just hours away from the 3rd anniversary of the worst storm in history, Hurricane Dorian, making landfall in the Bahamas on September 1st, 2019, delivering a disastrous blow to Abaco and Grand Bahama, displacing thousands across those islands and leaving many still picking up the pieces. Their stories being remembered tonight and perhaps for many for years to come. Our continuing team coverage of Road to Recovery starts now from Abaco, as time is almost up for residents of the Dome City erected in Spring City just after Dorian's passing. This as government announced it will demolish the area by August 27th, while some managed to move out before the original deadline. Others telling our news they have nowhere else to go. We now go to Berthany McDermott, who is in Spring City tonight with more on this. Berthany?
That's right, Natalia. Residents who remain here in the Dome City and Spring City are upset tonight. This just 4 days after they were supposed to move off of this property. While some managed to leave, others are telling us it doesn't seem possible at this time.
I have 3 kids and I don't have anywhere to go.
I'm ready to fight physically, mentally, and whatever way I have to, because like I said, I was a born Bahamian.
These are 2 Dome City residents still living on the property days after the eviction deadline. Africa Lowe says while she's working 2 jobs in hopes of moving out of the Dome, she still hasn't saved enough yet. A few weeks back, Housing Minister JoBeth Colby Davis said residents would have to be out by August 27th. She also revealed a $4,000 stipend would be provided to assist with moving.
But I'm not moving out of here unless they could show me that it's something there for me to go to. I don't have anywhere to go. The government promised a certain set of money we never received.
Now she's afraid she and her children will end up on the streets. When our news visited the site, yellow caution tape and duct tape were wrapped around some of the structures with this flyer that reads, "No trespassing. Property belongs to the Department of Housing." Lowe isn't alone. Denrado Roker says his family of 7 has nowhere to go.
Get it around the time when it's back to school, people are preparing their kids to go to school and different things like that. You're now about to yuck up a whole community because we built a community here.
While the structures were set to be demolished, Disaster Reconstruction Authority Chairman Alex Storr says a short extension was granted, adding that some 22 individuals have already moved out.
It may be up to sometime next week, but that is totally up to housing.
Meanwhile, these residents say they feel they're being treated inhumanely.
And I find out that they have a group called Home Rights Bahamas that fights for people like this. I wondering why they haven't come yet.
They're not being sensitive enough.
Now, Italia residents telling us they're hoping to be able to have a face-to-face with officials from the government to find a solution to their problem. Reporting live from Spring City, Abaco, I'm Berthany McDermott. Italia.
Thanks so much for that report, Berthany. Now we'll have more from the DRA chief later on in our newscast. But we continue with our series, Where Are They Now? As Abaco residents share stories of survival and progress over the past 3 years. Tonight, our Megan Shepard sits down with a medical doctor who played a major role in saving lives while surviving his own life-threatening ordeal.
Dr. George Charity says his life was spared twice during the passage of Hurricane Dorian, and he credits it to what he calls the voice of God. You see, Dr. Charity had planned to stay at the Abaco Beach Resort, but a quiet voice told him to head to his clinic instead.
I made my way back to the door to get back in the clinic. I could not open the door. The wind pressure and the water pressure. By the time the water was to my shoulder. And I can't swim.
Dr. Charity says it wasn't until the roof of the building came off that he realized there were people inside, as it forced them to run out. He says they all weathered the brutal elements for 2 days on top of the Dove Plaza.
I could have easily been in that number of persons that we're still looking for.
Now, Dr. Charity says although he had just went through his own traumatic and life-threatening experience, what kept him going was actually rendering services to those in need. He says there were many days when he drove around the community servicing patients in his car. Immediately after the hurricane, Dr. Charity actually operated his clinic out of a morgue, and now he has been in his new location for the past 8 months. He says he believes that people have been so busy simply trying to survive in the aftermath of Dorian and have been suppressing the trauma.
Whenever you hear thunder, lightning out there, you have people who come in with that deja vu experience, and so as healthcare professionals, we need to help people through that process.
Reporting for our news, I'm Megan Shepard.
Thanks, Megan. And one Grand Bahama couple is sharing with me their experience during the monster storm, calling its aftermath a war zone.
There's no way that they could have gotten here. As we were looking on social media and we saw people like on the road and they were able to walk. There was no way you could walk here. Actually, one of our neighbors had church pews from a mile down the road that landed up inside his house.
In his house, yeah.
David and Catherine Mackey's home is located in the eastern community of Grand Bahama. When building their home 12 years ago, they had natural disasters in mind and chose to include several hurricane-resilient measures. Though in place, high seas still surrounded their home, but the couple decided that it was safe to stay there and wait the storm. In the end, their home received some damage, but they say they are just thankful to be alive. They say the recovery has been challenging.
From September 4th on to February,
15th.
we had no power. We were the only ones living in this area.
Yeah.
I had to make a daily trek to the gas station to go and buy gas.
Now, 3 years later, the couple says it's good to see some owners come back and try to repair their homes. But as for others,
There's still a lot of areas where the homes people have not been able to come back to their homes, and it's really sad to see that.
The economic hit, because a lot of people did not have insurance.
It was kind of a double barrel. They had insurance and the bank got it first. So then the insurance money goes to the bank. How are you supposed to fix your house if you don't have insurance?
Yeah, and some people didn't have it at all.
Yeah.
They had nothing.
So it was.
So their houses end up just sitting.
our team coverage continues with our Jamila Mizik with more from Sweetings Key, as residents are still coping 3 years after Dorian ravaged their small community. Now, Jamila, we know that some residents have returned to the Key, but many are still saying they have nowhere to call home.
Natalia, yesterday we spoke to residents on Sweetings Key who gave us an update on life on the Key, and tonight the former chief counselor is telling us about recovery efforts to date.
Dorian was a bad experience for me. So, I don't really want, I hate talking about it like that, Yeah. That's where the water was in front here. In front here was ocean. I stand to the window there and I look at you there. I said, ocean. It was a huge monster, serious monster.
In 2019, Gladstone Russell and 36 others rode out Hurricane Dorian as it swept through the eastern Key, leaving behind a community in shambles. The former chief counselor for Sweetings Key says he had made it a practice that during storms he would always remain on the ground to ensure the safety of those on the Key. But he says Dorian was by far the worst they've experienced. 3 years later, he describes life on the Key.
You see, I got the school repaired, I got the clinic repaired, I got the water. But apparently we don't have a nurses yet or doctors yet. But the doctor come over, I think the second Tuesday or second Wednesday twice a month. The school is not officially open yet. Local government building is open.
Today, he says there are about 65 to 70 people who live on Sweetings Key, and while things are better than they were immediately after Dorian, he wants to see the recovery process speed up.
The Rotary built 17 and repaired some. That's all the homes, and the people who had a couple of dollars to repair their homes and get help from the foreign NGOs, that's all up. A lot of people want to come back, but they don't have the funds to start even foundation.
Now, the small fishing village was assisted by a number of NGOs who helped the fishermen on the Key to rebuild their boats in hopes of restoring their livelihoods. Reporting live from Grand Bahama, I'm Jamila Mizik. Italia, back to you.
Thanks so much, Jamila. Now, our Jamila Mizik is in Grand Bahama, and our Berthing McDermott and Abaco for us tonight with continuing coverage of Road to Recovery, Hurricane Dorian 3 years later. Thanks to you both. Now, the Prime Minister will lead a delegation of ministers and other high-level government officials to Abaco tomorrow for a series of events, including a memorial service and a wreath laying to commemorate the events and victims of Hurricane Dorian. You can follow these events throughout the day on the R News Bahamas Facebook page. It's now time for your check on temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, Talia, another warm and pleasant evening outside. Temperatures rather comfortable. They are in the mid-80s, 86 outside our studios right now. Partly cloudy, we call it a bit on the humid side. The winds out of the south-southeast that's bringing in that warm tropical air mass at 7 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature still holding into the mid-90s, 95. Satellite view, tropical wave that passed through the islands, well, the northern extent of it, that's coupled with an upper level low that's been spinning across the southeast Bahamas, triggering some showers and some thunderstorms across mainly the northwest Bahamas, particularly across Andros. A lot of showers and thunderstorms popping up across that area. All of this will continue to pull towards the west. High pressure will be building in across our area for the next couple of days. So we're looking at some improving conditions with just an occasional shower or thunderstorm during the day. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. We are just getting started in our news, but when we come back, find out about the establishment of a new homeowners assistance and relief program just hours before the 3rd anniversary of Hurricane Dorian. Plus, a court grants a woman a divorce on the grounds of cruelty after claims of marital rape. And later, Greg is back with your extended forecast when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
The small home repair program will be replaced starting tomorrow, according to the chairman of the Disaster Reconstruction Authority, Alex Storr, who today announced the establishment of the Homeowners Assistance and Relief Program. Marlena Leonard has details in this report.
The Homeowners Assistance and Relief Program, or HARP, will aid Dorian survivors in both Abaco and Grand Bahama. Disaster Reconstruction Authority Chairman Alex Storr.
For those that applied and never received assistance, recovery is on the way. For those that were not able to apply before, or even some that may have been rejected, recovery is on the way.
Storr says the program's predecessor, the Small Home Repair Program, had several issues and there had to be major changes.
Homeowners and businesses are being notified that all outstanding purchase orders that are out there have been canceled. In some instances, we saw high-end mattresses and interior mirrors, for example, being purchased with aid funds.
With the new Homeowner Assistance and Relief Program, STORE says those still trying to rebuild from Hurricane Dorian can get assistance in repairing roofing, windows, siding, plumbing, and electronics. Beginning tomorrow, the HARP team will begin going door to door to homes on existing lists or in the disaster zones, reaching out to survivors. STORE says the program will also help stimulate local economies.
The DRA will seek to employ temporarily about 100 workers during these phases on each island.
We also asked the chairman specifically about homeowners on Grand Bahama who spent months with salt water running through their pipes. He says you too can be eligible for assistance.
And we'll come by, do an assessment, see exactly what needs to be done, and make the decision, but most likely we will.
Okay, and how? Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Now, the Disaster Reconstruction Authority and the National Emergency Management Agency will merge to create one organization. That's according to the DRA chairman, who says the goal is to have a unified means of managing recovery efforts.
It is envisioned that the new authority will establish to manage all aspects of disasters in the country. The DRA and NEMA will all merge under one banner in this new entity. The new entity will focus on disaster risk reduction and mitigation, resiliency planning and development, and rapid response and recovery.
Two men are facing vehicular manslaughter charges. The first is a 52-year-old man who prosecutors say caused the death of Winston Davis in a wrong-way crash. Prince Dean allegedly drove his red Toyota Passo north along Frederick Street around 1:55 a.m. on June 8th, when prosecutors say Dean's car hit a Honda Fit, which overturned on a sidewalk, landing on top of Davis. The Derby Road resident, who appeared before Senior Magistrate Carolyn Vo Evans, was not required to enter a plea to the charge and was granted a $10,000 bail. He returns to court on November 24th for a voluntary bill of indictment. And the second man, a 33-year-old, is facing the same charge after a car crash killed his wife. Prosecutors say John Sands was driving his 2007 Nissan Bluebird west along West Bay Street around 10 p.m. on April 30th when he lost control and hit a tree in the median. His wife, LaShawna Sands, who was the front seat passenger, died in the collision. Investigations revealing that Sands' car was not licensed or insured against third-party risks and had failed to transfer the ownership of the car. Now, Sands, who appeared before Senior Magistrate Carolyn Vo Evans, was not required to enter pleas and was granted an $11,000 bail. He's expected back in court on November 24th for a voluntary bill of indictment, sending the case to the Supreme Court for trial. A recent decision in a divorce case adding fuel to the growing debate on whether it's time for the country to criminalize marital rape. Christina Dragovich has court details.
Supreme Court Justice Denise Lewis Johnson granting a divorce to a woman who said she, quote, felt like a rape victim during sexual intercourse with her husband of 15 years. The woman recently filed for divorce on the grounds of cruelty, citing numerous instances where her husband forced himself on her. She alleged that it was commonplace for him to come home, ask for sex, and if she refused, he would lubricate, take his pleasure, and leave. She told the court the encounters had damaged her emotionally. Although she described the sexual encounters as rape in her petition, Justice Lewis Johnson noted there is no rape in marriage under Bahamian law. However, she granted the divorce after finding the husband's behavior amounted to cruelty. The husband has denied the allegation, saying that he took care of the household and did not cheat on his wife. He said he waited until marriage to have sex. However, during the marriage, his sexual needs were not met. The issue of marital rape continues to spark national debate, with activists calling on government to criminalize the act. Christian Council President Delton Fernander saying recently that while the council agrees with a recent assertion by Prime Minister Philip Davis that, quote, rape is rape, the council wants to preserve the sanctity of marriage. Social Services Minister Obi Wilshcombe recently telling Our News government will meet with the Bahamas Christian Council on September 15th to discuss the issue. Reporting for Our News, I'm Christina Dragovich.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, Marcellus is in studio following track and field action for us. Marcellus?
Yeah, coming up in Sports for You tonight, we'll also tell you about the latest performance by one of our young sprinters, Anthony Strawn, doing well in the Diamond League. We'll give you details on her latest performance and also tell you about one of our own in basketball. As the WNBA playoffs set to continue, Jonquel Jones looking to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-5 series.
Thanks, Marcellus. Plus, Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Is all coming up when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
This is our news. Welcome back. Sprinter Anthony Strawn showing off her speed as Diamond League action heats up. Meanwhile, Jonquel and the Suns go for a 2-0 lead tonight as the WNBA playoffs continue. Marcellus Hall joins us now in studio.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Even with the track season winding down, we still have Bahamian athletes competing at the Diamond League events across Europe. One athlete competing yesterday, that would be Anthony Strawn, as she got rolling in the women's 200 meters. Let's take a look at her performance.
Anthony Strawn competing at the Diamond League event in Lausanne. Strawn, 200 meters, lining up in the far lane, the 7th lane, as a matter of fact, with some pretty good competitors here, including Sini Aminatu of Nigeria and Jenna Prendini of the United States. All runners, in fact, in this entire field had faster times coming in than Anthony Strawn, but they say it's what you do on a particular day that matters, and it was Strawn who had the best day of all on the outside lane here, able to power through the final couple of meters to steal first place. 22.68 the winning time for Strawn. Aminatu finished second in 22.71 with Jenna Prendini of the United States third in 22.82 seconds, but a solid win there for Anthony Strawn as she takes first place. In other news, WNBA playoffs action continued tonight as our very own Jonquel Jones will be back in action. She and the Connecticut Sun expected to see some play this evening for Game 2 of their best-of-5 series. Sun leading after a Game 1 victory, up 1-0, looking to take a 2-0 lead if they can pull it off again tonight in Chicago. We'll keep an eye on that and, of course, keep you posted and give you the details for you tomorrow.
And that is your look at sports here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Marcellus. Now don't go away. Greg is back in the Weather Center watching activity in the tropics. What are we seeing, Greg?
Yes, Italia, we're back to watching 3 systems across the tropics. We are in the heart of the hurricane season. We'll tell you more about those systems later on in our extended forecast.
Thanks, Greg. We'll see you back in a moment. Stay with us.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
Welcome back to our news. We are still tracking activity in the tropics. Meteorologist Greg Thompson, who has been monitoring all the developments, joins us with the latest. Greg?
Yes, Italia, we were watching 2 systems in the Atlantic. We are now watching another one. That system up near Bermuda has kind of got its act together. Upper level low spinning near that system. We'll show that in our satellite picture, but it's back up to a medium chance for formation. It's not going to pose a problem for us staying out there in the open Atlantic. Then the system near the Cape Verde Islands, that's also up to a medium chance for formation over the next couple of days. Should stay in the open Atlantic and move well to the east of us and continue out there. Moving into some cooler waters. But the system that we're going to continue to monitor, that system that's approaching the northern Leeward Islands, high chance for formation. National Hurricane Center will watch this one rather closely. It's going to continue to move towards a west-northwest motion and should stay to the east of the Bahamas. An upper-level trough that's going to be moving across the United States will eventually grab the system and turn it more towards the north and east and away from us. Satellite view showing those systems. The one out there in the open Atlantic near Bermuda, upper-level low spinning near that, enhancing some showers and thunderstorms. We also have that one near the Cape Verde Islands. That also has a medium chance, showers and thunderstorms, rather disorganized. But the one that's approaching the northern Leeward Islands, it's looked like it's getting its act together. A lot of convection associated with that system. And as I mentioned, would stay towards the east of the Bahamas over the next couple of days. But we will continue to watch this one very closely. And of course, near our location, trough and upper level trough and a tropical wave enhancing some showers. All of that will be moving into the Gulf of Mexico eventually. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east and southeast at 10 knots, falling light and variable at times. Seas running 1 to 3 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 11:25 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, east to southeasterly flow, 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, a couple isolated showers expected tomorrow with some residual moisture hanging around, but conditions will be improving. Nice boating conditions, but those temperatures will stay rather steamy, and we will continue to watch that system out there in the open Atlantic that should approach us and stay east of the Bahamas by early next week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.